This video is brought to you by volunteeraudio.com, your #1 source for all things Harley-Davidson audio. From individual radios, speakers, and amps to complete plug-and-play amp and speaker systems, we've got you covered. And once you've ordered your package from Volunteer Audio, it includes lifetime tech support. And we have the very best step-by-step installation video so you can install it yourself and save money. Hello, I'm Jay, owner of Volunteer Audio in Oliver Springs, Tennessee, and I want to show you a process that Volunteer Audio does that almost no one else does when they ship you a plug-and-play amp. We're going to talk about how to properly set gains, the tools we use, and what separates Volunteer Audio from everyone else. All right, so at Volunteer Audio, we pride ourselves on doing all the hard work before you ever get your system so your install is as easy as possible. Part of that is properly setting gains and the high pass filters on your amplifiers. So I wanted to show you this. So some people have called me out, they say, you can't do that, you can't set the gains before you ship it because you don't have my bike or you don't have my radio. Well, at Volunteer Audio, we do have a setup with a 4-channel, very expensive Fluke oscilloscope. This thing's about $7,000. It allows us to monitor all the channels of an amplifier at one time so we can properly set the gains. But we also have the SoundStream Reserve radio, as you see here on display, that I can power up and run this and the amp, and we're fixing to show you how to do that. I'll show you how it works. And we can set it perfectly for the SoundStream radio. Now you guys with the factory Harley radio, what we've done is we've powered up a factory Harley radio, we've properly flashed it, we've measured the exact voltage out of it, and we know exactly what volume on this SoundStream radio to go to have the exact output of the stock radio. So with this one radio, I can actually set all their factory amplifiers for people using stock GT or GTS radios. Believe it or not, Harley uses these same internal amps, so those numbers don't move. And SoundStream uses the same internal amp in all of their radios. Whether it be an SG or an RG or the new SI or the 14 Plus, it's the same settings. So with this and an oscilloscope, correct power supply, and a bunch of special wiring, I can easily power up every amp before it leaves and properly set the gains to perfection. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is gain. What is it? It's actually, the correct terminology would be input sensitivity. It's a dial on the end of your amplifier, and some people think that that is what turns the power of the amp up and down, and if that's what you've always been told, you were told wrong. All it does is adjust the input of the amplifier. So we're adjusting the strength of the signal going into the amp. Amplifiers do one thing, they amplify. It's always amplifying the same amount. We're just changing what's coming in so it amplifies that on the output. So imagine it's always putting out 1,000 times what you put in it, and we're trying to get 1,000 watts as the max it'll do. That means we can only send 1 watt in, 1,000 times later we have the correct output. Now those are just made up numbers to try to make this make sense to you. But if I were to send 10 watts into an amp that multiplied 1,000 times and it only does 1,000 watts, and I try to get 10,000 watts out of it, it's just going to do what we call clip. It's going to create a bunch of noise, it's going to overheat, it's not going to work right. And I'm going to show you how we see that on an oscilloscope and how we test that. So let's start that process now. All right, first I'm going to just show you what the radio connected to the oscilloscope playing a test track looks like. I'm going to turn on my power supply. I'm going to plug in my radio. We're going to see our radio turn on. Now what we're using is a test track. We use a track from Steve Mead Designs. We're going to use a 1 kilohertz -5 dB track. That probably doesn't mean much to you, but understand music is very dynamic. And because music is loud and quiet and everything in between in the middle of playing a song, we have to try to judge how many decibel we need to set the radio to. So if we do a 0 dB track, which is just straight, a solid tone, it won't be loud enough for you. If we did a -10 dB track, it's going to be so loud on the settings that you'll end up blowing speakers. And we find that most music has about a 5 decibel difference from its peaks to its lows, and that gets us just right to make sure that we don't destroy our speakers and we don't clip out our amplifier. Let's get our radio powered up here. We're going to turn on our test track. All right, so 1 kilohertz, negative 5 dB. You're going to see our oscilloscope come up. It's going to start reading that. And I'm going to start turning the volume up on our radio. And we know that on our SoundStream radio, our radio is clean all the way to volume 50. Now, this will make more sense when I show it to you hooked up to an amplifier. But this is actually that tone played on an oscilloscope. We want to see these waves. Music comes out in what we call waves or sound waves. An electrical signal works in the same way. And we're seeing the positives and the negatives, both sides of this track as it's playing. And as long as we have good, clean, smooth slopes, there's no fuzz on top, there's no squared off points, we have a clean signal that would come out of our speaker very, very clean. As this goes into your speaker moves in and out, follows that wave. On a 1 kilohertz tone, it's doing it very, very quickly, but it is following this wave up and down. Now, if we turn up our amp gains too much or we have an unclean signal going into it, we'll see that square off. Everywhere it squares off is called clipping. That overheats your voice coil. It blows up your speaker. Your speaker doesn't know what to do with that bottoming out top and bottom. So let me disconnect the radio and plug our amp in place. Now what we've got wired in is the Harley connectors for the 14 and newer Harley here. So this is our full plug and play amplifier, and all I've got to do is plug in the correct connectors here. All plug and play just like if we were going behind the bike radio inside the bike. I'm also going to plug up power to our amp. As well as our amp turn on signal. All right, so we're rebooting our radio. I'll bring back up USB, go back to our track. And now I'm going to turn our radio all the way up. Now, what we have displayed we're looking at is our oscilloscope. This is our reading of all 4 channels. So the red and blue are our front channels. The green and black are our rear channels. We're actually monitoring the entire amplifier all at one time. So now I'm going to take our input sensitivity of our front channels, and you're going to see I'm going to turn them down. You'll see that wave get smaller. You'll also see our voltage get smaller. I'll turn them back up, and I'll show you what happens when you go too far. So if you turn it up too much, you see how that wave turns into a square. That square peak is what we're trying not to have. So as we're turning it up, we're seeing this on our oscilloscope. We're going to back that back down to the highest point we can go where it's still round and smooth. We know on this amplifier that's about 250 volts. All right, so I've got it brought up there, but what I want to show you is this is the right way. It does take tools, it takes technology. You wouldn't build a house without a tape measure. You wouldn't go out with your arm and say, I think it's this big. You would need tools to do that, and we use a very expensive oscilloscope to properly set all of our amp gains. Other places will claim the words plug and play, and they'll send you out harnessing that you have to figure out how to connect to your amp. They'll also tell you to turn your radio up to a certain point and then by ear to adjust your gains to where it's clear. Now I can tell you my ears can't do that. We listen to a lot of loud music, and I don't think yours can do it either. This is the right way, and every single amplifier that leaves volunteer audio has been properly set up with an oscilloscope to adjust the gains to perfection. We're getting every ounce of power. If it's a 1,000 watt amp, like this Hertz is a 1,000 watt RMS, we're getting all 1,000 watts clean to your speakers. Now, some people think distortion is louder, and we're trying not to have distortion. So this is clean, loud power. And it's not going to be like your factory radio, where as you turn it up, it gets muddy and distorted. We're going to be able to go all the way to full volume on, say, this SoundStream radio, and we're going to want to use all of that range. If we were to set this amp at volume 40 on the radio, but the radio goes to 50, we're leaving you 10 more clicks that you're going to go up while riding, and you're going to blow up your speakers. So, I've been called out on this. I wanted to show you how it worked. I wanted to show you what we do. We spend a lot of money and a lot of time making sure we do things the absolute best way possible. On top of that, all of our amps are going to come completely pre-wired. We're not going to tell you to wire anything. It's going to plug in behind the radio. It's going to plug into an amp turn-on wire, and then you're going to run power and ground back to your battery, and it's all pre-made and pre-done. We've also set the high-pass filters with another tool called a crossover calibrator to what we need for both your front and rear speakers, so they'll play at the frequencies that they want to play. We're not going to send subwoofer bass to a 6.5-inch speaker. That's just going to rip it apart, especially when we're throwing this much power to it. So we're going to set those crossovers correctly for each size speaker so that when you get it, You can go to full volume. We don't have to worry about you blowing it up, and you get every ounce of power you paid for. Any other way would be selling it short. So if you do it by ear, you're either going to go too little or too much. I guarantee you, you're not going to get it perfect. And we take all that guesswork out and do it for you. Thank you for watching. I wanted to show this because I'm proud of it. I'm proud of all the extra steps we go through. A lady that works here named Kaylee does all of this for us. You'll see her initials on the amp as it goes out. She does this, and we're serious about making sure it's right. So she's the only one that sets amp gains all day long correctly so that we know that it's done the same way consistently over and over. Everything is documented. Everything's verified. We know where it should be. We know about what the voltage is, but we set it every single one individually and double check all those things. At the same time, we're checking every output of the amp for any failures or defects. We're checking polarity. We can see that by how this wave is on our amp. So everything is double checked, so when you get it, we know you're not going to have any problems. We pride ourselves in doing a great job and having happy customers. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the Volunteer Audio YouTube channel. By doing that, we'll show you the latest audio as it comes out. We'll show you how to install it, and we'll show you how to use it. Definitely like this video. It moves up Volunteer Audio in the search standings. It allows other people to find this video. That helps us, and we appreciate it. Comment below if you have any questions about this process. We have other videos where we show you how to rent digital distortion detectors and set your own gains. I really wanted to cover what we do ahead of time so you don't need those tools and you don't have to think about that when you do your install. If you want to see Volunteer Audio's packages, all the ones that we offer for your bike, go to volunteeraudio.com, or if you need help deciding what's best for your situation, for your bike, for your budget, for your genre of music, give us a call at 1-844-30-AUDIO. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, God bless.